Good morning. Good morning. Is the mic on? I can't tell. Hello. We will begin today with some singing. Our sung prelude this morning will be Circle Round for Freedom. You can find it in your gray hymnal at number 155 if you would like, especially if you'd like to sing one of the harmony parts. And otherwise, the words are behind me on the screen. Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole. Thank you.
Good morning. The following land acknowledgement is the result of my personal reflection, and this morning I have the privileged opportunity to share it with you. It is nonetheless work in progress. I acknowledge that the land where I live was first inhabited by indigenous peoples. I acknowledge that when I took Canadian citizenship, I received rights, responsibilities, as well as the past history of my new home. Sadly, this history includes a time of genocide and atrocities committed against indigenous peoples. I can't change the past, yet as a Canadian and as a member of First Unitarian Congregation of Ottawa, I commit to learn the truth and to walk the path of reconciliation. I intend to do so by keeping an open mind to learn, an open heart to understand, and by finding the courage to do the right actions. Thank you. Now I have 4 announcements for you today. 1, 2, 3, 4. From the pledge team. We are so close, thanks to everyone who has already pledged. If those who have not yet pledged can increase their pledge by 10%, and if we get a few more first-time pledges, we will make our goal. Tomorrow is the last chance to order a delicious assortment of cheese from the Abbey Saint-Benoît-du-Lac through the Unitarian Go-Go's. Please contact Joan Turner, and her email is joan@joejoan.ca, or check out the poster in Fellowship Hall for details. Proceeds go to support the Stephen Lewis Foundation. If you have not been receiving the EUU, it's likely because our new email server, and it is landing in your spam folder. Please check it. You can enable your email to accept the address. Remember, the EUU is always directly accessible on our website. The bi-weekly conversation about this morning's service will occur in the lounge today at 11:45. And now, we will hear an update from our fall director, Catherine Pope.
Thank you, Carmen. Good morning. I'm Catherine Pope, the 2025 Fall Fair Director, and I just want you to know that you haven't missed your opportunity to volunteer yet. According to Eva, there are still spots available, especially on Saturday, and Eva will be in the yellow apron after the service at the back. Oh, sorry, in Fellowship Hall. Now, I have two questions for you today, and the first is, who's going to be here for the Fall Fair setup this week? Raise your right hand. Woohoo! The next is, who plans on donating items this year? Raise your left hand. Yes. Okay, this is good. So you probably already know then that we're accepting donations as of noon today until 7 p.m. on Thursday. So it's 7 p.m. on Thursday. People get confused about that. And the reason for that is because Friday is a busy day with setup, and there's a pre-sale. Now, the pre-sale is for volunteers who may not be able to shop on Saturday, and it's for the Unitarian House residents and for congregation members who have mobility issues and or disabilities. The pre-sale is on Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The other thing that I need you to know about is that you'll see in front of you where all of your hymnals are and all of the books in front of you. At the end of the service today, what we'd like you to do is to take those to the main office, and Bob is all ready for you in the main office there for that. The last question I have for you today is, who is looking forward to this year's Fall Fair? Raise both of your hands and let's give ourselves a big applause. All right. I look forward to seeing you there.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Lara Cowtan. My pronouns are she and her, and I am so delighted to see anybody here this morning with the threat of the first snow. Oh, and we made it. Is there any snow out there? All right. Well, here's hoping. Here's hoping. So, my friends, welcome. Welcome to this hour or so that we will spend together this morning. Welcome to those of you who are here in person and to those of you who stayed home for whatever reason, wherever you are. Your presence here is felt, and we opened up, I wasn't going to say this out loud, but here we are. We opened up the chat on YouTube this morning so you can say hi. Try it. Yeah. It's really good to know who is out there in our virtual land. And so if you want to just let us know who you are, where you're chiming in from, and greet one another, that'd be lovely. And it expands the caring community if we know who's here. So with that, I want to just greet you. Thank you for being here. Whoever you are, whatever brings you here, whether this is your first time or you've been coming for decades, you are very, very welcome. Your gifts and your wounds, your whole person is welcome here. And whatever you've come here seeking this morning, may our time together inspire you and hold you as you work to live lives of integrity, service, and joy. I have one little thing I need to share with you, and that is due to the inclement weather, wink, we won't be having Mia serving lunch here today because the schlepping back and forth of food was going to be complicated. And so we don't have lunch offerings, and there may or may not be coffee. Okay, all right, and we're gonna be fine. right? We're gonna be fine. So I just wanted to share that, but we will be able to gather as usual in our fellowship hour, and I so look forward to connecting with you more. And with that, I'm going to invite Lori, who is our worship associate, sharing the worship with me this morning, to come forward with our opening words. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Lori Foster McLeod, your worship associate. Our centering words today are from Kalidasa, who was a great Sanskrit poet and dramatist in the 15th century. Look to this day. Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all the verities and realities of your existence, the bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendor of achievement are but experiences of time. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision, and today, well lived, makes yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. Such is the salutation to the ever-new dawn. For our chalice lighting today, we have a special message from Reverend Captain Nicole McKay, a Unitarian Universalist chaplain serving in the Canadian Armed Forces.
I'm the Reverend Captain Nicole McKay, Unitarian Universalist minister, affiliated community minister with the First Unitarian Congregation of Toronto, serving our faith as a chaplain in the Canadian Armed Forces. This morning we gather to light the flame of our chalice from coast to coast. We light this flame in remembrance of the lives given, hearts broken, and for hope that refused to die. This chalice was an image first used in a time of war, drawn by a refugee artist for those who risked it all to help others find freedom. It was a secret sign of compassion, a beacon of safety in the midst of a world living in fear. And so today we light this chalice not to celebrate victory, but to honor the courage of those who live their values. We light this chalice not to eat sorrow, but to affirm the life that endures from our coming together. May this flame remind us that even in the darkest times, we are called to act with love. That peace begins whenever someone dares to care, and that the work of remembrance is the work of the living, the work of hope.
Can Reuben and Leonard come and help me light the chalice? Thanks.
I'd like to invite anyone who believes they're a child at heart to come forward so I can share with you our story for today. I have a prop. Can anyone tell me what this is? Is it a chalice? Is it a chalice? And then what's that fluffy stuff on top? It's a flame? It's a flame. All right. So, do you notice that this flaming chalice is a symbol that we use in our congregation? Have you noticed that? Can anyone tell me what a symbol is? What does it mean to be a symbol? Do you know of any other symbols that you see out there on the street or anywhere? Yeah. Poppies. Poppies are a symbol. That's really good. Do you know what a poppy symbolizes? Anyone? Remembrance Day. Very good. So if the flaming chalice is a symbol, what do you think it symbolizes? Anyone? All right. Yes? Warmth. Warmth is, yes, the flame symbolizes warmth. Maybe the whole package of a flaming chalice symbolizes warmth. Anyone else? Hope? Yeah. Light? Faith. Nice. What a wonderful symbol for us. So we're going to learn a little bit, and Reverend Captain Nicole Mackay mentioned this a bit, and we're going to learn a little more about this symbol today. I'm going to have to sit down. And put our symbol right there. So a symbol is a picture or an item, like a poppy, that stands for something important. Like, what is this symbol? And what does that stand for? Nice. See, this is easy. So our Unitarian Universalist symbol is a cup with a flame, a flaming chalice. And a long, long time ago, 80 years. Can you imagine 80 years? I know some of you can. Many people were really scared. There was a really big war in Europe, and many people were scared, and people were dying, and people were running away and trying to hide and find a safer place to be. A group of Unitarians wanted to help, and they provided food and shelter and papers, like passports and visas, so that people could cross the borders and get to places of safety. But these papers, I mean, anybody can just make up a paper, right? So they wanted a symbol to put on the paper to make it look official. So they hired an artist. This artist made a symbol of a chalice with a flame and put a circle around it. The cup with the flame is meant to say, here is help. Here is hope. Here is nourishment. And the circle symbolizes all are welcome. It is for everyone. Now, this mattered to have a symbol rather than something written because anybody know how many languages people speak in Europe? Let's just say it's a lot. It's a lot. And also, you can see a symbol from the distance and say, oh, that's what I'm looking for. That's my safe person. That's my safe place. A recognizable symbol. So this is why it mattered. And this symbol became really, really well known. There's a story of a woman who was actually in a concentration camp. And that's where the Nazis put people. that they were afraid of. This woman, every morning, with her finger on the ground, she would draw a flaming chalice. Can you do that with your finger? Can you try to draw a flaming chalice? It's like a cup with a stem, and then there's a flame on top, and then she would put a circle around it. She did that every morning, and it gave her hope. After the war, people remembered this symbol of hope, and Unitarian Universalist congregations, well, they were just Unitarians and Universalists back then because they hadn't hooked up yet. That happened in '61. I love my history, you know that. But this symbol that was just on paper, it was a two-dimensional thing. But the youth group started to use it. And they had their own chapel services. And it was the kids who started to have a flaming chalice in their service. And well, you know, kids grow up. Kids grow up and then they come into the adult worship service and they brought the flaming chalice with them. And so it's really only in the past couple of decades that we've had this symbol in our worship services, and yet it feels so much a part of us. It's still a recognizable symbol. And we know that Lara Hitchmanova from the Unitarian Service Committee had this symbol as well and wore it on her uniform. And I'm going to talk more to the adults about that in a little while, but I wanted you all to know about the story of this symbol that we hold so dear. It is yours. And with that, I invite you to go into your classrooms and learn more. And then we'll see you after the service. Thank you. Can we sing our children out with the symbol of love? Go now in peace. Go. Each time we gather, we take a moment. We take a moment together to expand the caring ministry of this congregation. And together we celebrate the milestones of our lives, the circle of love, compassion, and witness that is at the center of this and every sacred community. I invite you into this time of sharing together with the sounding of our bowl. You take a deep breath and settle into this time. It is the tradition of this congregation to drop stones that symbolize the joys and celebrations and the sorrows and griefs that we carry in our hearts into bowls of cleansing water, that they may be washed clean, and that the ripples of our intentions and our prayers will reach out into the universe, be lifted by all the other hearts in this community. The burdens and the celebrations of our lives and those of the larger world. In the world today, I share a stone of joy. For the changing of the season, it will come, it is coming. Is this not beautiful to see the changing of the season? And a stone of sorrow and concern for those in conflict zones, those facing war and displacement and hunger and fear. Our hearts expand. From within our community, though we have no card for you to sign in the back table today, we know that it is a truth of our living condition that on any given Sunday, there are those among us who are carrying deep, deep griefs of loss, of fear, heavy, heavy burdens. And those too among us who are brimming with joy, with life, with hope, with celebration. I invite you, as you feel moved, to please come forward and share what is in your heart through these stones for all of us to carry. We share final stones as always. For those joys and sorrows and celebrations that go unspoken in our hearts, they are nonetheless lifted and heard among all of us. I invite you now to join me in a time of silence for your own reflection and prayer.
Today's anthem will be sung by Fusion. This is In Remembrance from Eleanor Daly's very beautiful Requiem with text that is part of a poem by Mary Elizabeth Fry.
Will our ushers please come forward? Thank you. This congregation has a long history of care, vitality, and bringing people together to move the arc of justice forward. The offerings collected each Sunday help us to live into our values within this congregation and in supporting many good works beyond our walls. Whether you are here in Worship Hall or anywhere else, we rely on one another to keep this congregation vital and resilient. If you have any questions about how you can give in support of the work of our community, please go to our website or contact our finance manager to find out how to make a donation or contribute to your annual pledge. If you have a smartphone handy, you can use the QR code on the screen or on the back of the order of service to make an online donation. I offer this affirmation of gratitude for the gifts shared today. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for all of those who share their gifts, for we are enriched by their giving. And let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may be held by the generosity of others. Our gifts are freely given and gratefully received. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our larger community of faith, serving human wholeness, caring for the planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another. May the work of our hands and the generosity of our hearts be given in gratitude this day. Okay, next we have a responsive reading by Reverend Amy Petrie Shaw, who is a developmental minister at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Venice, Florida, called A Prayer for the World. I take it it's either in your order of service or up on the screen. Basically, you say, we lift up our hearts is the response. For all who die in war, for all who live in suffering in the aftermath of violence, for all who give their lives in smoke and flame, for all who go on in honor of the dead, for all who have served, for our country and our world, for a planet that will find peace, for the young and the innocent, for the weary and the war-torn, for those who would pray, for those too angry to cry, for all of us, for the many names of God. We lift up our hearts, Shanti, Shalom, peace, Salam, Amen.
I invite you to join me in a time of meditation, contemplation, or prayer. we remind one another that hope is our course of action. It is the labor of love made visible. Hope is not a wish or a whisper, it is a steady choice. The choice to keep reaching for understanding, to keep repairing what is ruptured, to keep believing that peace is not only possible, but necessary. Hope is what we do when we build bridges across our differences, when we hold fast to our shared humanity, and when we refuse to give up on one another. And so on this day and every day, may our hearts hold both grief and gratitude. May our actions be a prayer of peace. And may our hope for this world be disciplined, active, and above all, courageous. This we pray for all those who came before us and all who are yet to come. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
This Tuesday, at the 11th hour of the 11th day, the 11th month, we will pause, as we do every year, to remember. The moment of silence that sweeps across this country on November 11th is both tender and terrible. A remembrance of lives lost and loves shattered by war, and a reminder that peace is always fragile, always in need of tending. We say the words, lest we forget, knowing that remembrance is not a passive act. To remember is to remember, to bring back together that which has been torn apart. We remember so that we might learn and live differently because of what we have learned. That is the work of this month's theme, learning from our ancestors. And this morning, in our Time for All Ages, and Reverend Captain Nicole Mackay told the story of how our Unitarian Universalist flaming chalice symbol came to be. In 1941, as the Second World War raged, the Unitarian Service Committee, the USC, was working across Europe to help refugees escape Nazi persecution. Hans Deutsch, an Austrian artist who had fled the Nazis himself, created a simple yet profound image, a cup with a flame, a symbol of aid and of life, of the enduring light of hope amid darkness. And that emblem, that symbol became the emblem of the USC, an official mark that allowed refugee papers to be trusted at checkpoints and borders, and an identifiable symbol of safety for those in need. And decades later, when Unitarian youth brought the symbol to life in their own worship services and then into ours, it became our living flame, the chalice that we light each Sunday to remind us of the power of compassion and conscience. Our chalice was not born in joy or comfort, but in crisis. It was created to save lives. And around that same time, in what was called then Czechoslovakia, the Reverends Norbert and Maja Čapek were leading the Free Religious Fellowship of Prague, a thriving Unitarian congregation. Reverend Norbert Čapek created the Flower Communion that we celebrate each spring before summer starts, a celebration of diversity and unity that is shared across the world by our congregations. But by the late 1930s, the Čapek's ministry was overshadowed by the rise of Nazi power. And when it became clear what was coming, Reverend Maja traveled to the United States to raise funds for refugees. Norbert stayed behind, ministering to their congregation and broadcasting words of courage and compassion until his arrest. He was sent to Dachau, a concentration camp, where he was executed in 1942. He died for his convictions and for his people. Maja continued the work from afar, helping refugees and sharing the message of resilient love, and their courage shaped the spirit of modern Unitarianism in ways that we live today. A faith that resists tyranny and uplifts human dignity, of courage. Norbert Čapek once wrote, "In the quietness of this hour, may we find peace in our hearts, courage for our conscience, and strength for our love." Also, in Czechoslovakia, Reverend Waitstill and his wife, Martha Sharp, an American Unitarian minister, they were sent by the American Unitarian Association also to help refugees escape while there was still time. There's a movie about this called The Sharp's War. Maybe we can do a screening of it sometime. It's brilliant. Waitstill and Martha guided hundreds of people, many of them Jewish children and dissidents, across the borders to safety, often at great personal risk. And for their courage, they were later honored by Yad Vashem in Israel as righteous among the nations, a title for non-Jews who risked their lives to save others during the Holocaust. This same humanitarian flame burned brightly in Lotta Hitchmanova, whose bronze bust stands today at the entrance of our sanctuary. Born in Czechoslovakia, she devoted her life to aiding refugee children, and Lotta founded the Unitarian Service Committee of Canada, now known as Seed Change. She traveled the globe tirelessly, wearing a self-designed khaki uniform with the Unitarian Service Committee logo as a patch on it. She found, go figure, that people responded with more respect to a woman in uniform. She believed that love in action was our highest calling, and she lived it. Our own liberal religious lineage is filled with people who showed up in times of war and in civil conflicts with courage and conviction. Reverend John Hayne Holmes, a Unitarian minister in New York, opposed both world wars and co-founded the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, as well as the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU. Holmes taught that faith demands moral courage in public life, saying, "The voice of conscience is not the voice of fear, but of love." Olympia Brown, was one of the first women in the world to be ordained as a minister, the first fully recognized by any denomination. She was Universalist. She was ordained in 1863, and she was a passionate suffragist and reformer, and she preached that freedom and equality were sacred expressions of faith. During the Civil War, she spoke out against slavery and called for the moral awakening of the nation, insisting that peace could never be separated from justice. Her ministry paved the way for women in the pulpit today, as well as for all who speak truth to power. Florence Nightingale, a British Unitarian, transformed nursing into a respected scientific profession. She was known as the Lady with the Lamp for her care of soldiers during the Crimean War. And she founded the Nightingale Training School for Nurses and pioneered hospital reform and public health. This was guided by her Unitarian faith in the dignity and worthiness of every person. She saw nursing as both a spiritual and a moral calling. Nightingale wrote, "Let us never consider ourselves unfinished nurses. We must be learning all of our lives." Living at the same time as Nightingale, Clara Barton, a Universalist, founded the American Red Cross. During the United States Civil War, she became known as the Angel of the Battlefield, bringing medical supplies and care directly to the front lines. And guided by her Universalist belief in the worth of every single person, she organized aid without regard for rank or allegiance, treating every uniform equally. Later, expanding her Red Cross mission globally. I have so many more names I want to share with you. Just a couple more. Emily Green Balch, 1867 to 1961, both a Unitarian and a Quaker. She was an economist and a reformer and a tireless advocate for peace. She founded the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, promoting reconciliation and disarmament after World War I. And for her lifetime of work for justice and cooperation among nations, she received the 1946 Nobel Peace Prize. And Theodore Parker, who I've mentioned before, the fiery Unitarian minister in Boston whose sermons later inspired Abraham Lincoln and Martin Luther King Jr. He wrote with a loaded pistol on his desk to protect the enslaved people that he sheltered in defiance of the Fugitive Slave Act. All of these ancestors form a lineage, a tapestry of love and courage and conviction. Some resisted oppression and others healed the wounded. Others taught or organized or built systems of care. Each answered the call of their conscience in their own way. Our movement's work for justice continued through later wars and crises and continues to this day. During the Vietnam War, Canadian and American Unitarians offered sanctuary and support for conscientious objectors who crossed the border. And our congregations became safe havens for those following the dictates of conscience. The Underground Railroad had many Unitarians and Universalists among their members. The bravery was not grand or public, it was human, rooted in that deep instinct of compassion that says, I can do no less. Unitarian Universalists are not as a faith strictly pacifist, and nor are we aggressors. We are people who seek peace through lifting up the worth and dignity of every person, through our values and our principles. We build systems of healing, hospitals and schools and aid programs and peace initiatives and refugee support. We create safe passage and sanctuary. Above all, we show up in times of peace and in times of war to live our values with what I like to call a fierce and muscular love. Among us are veterans, more than you may realize. People who have served or continue to serve in uniform today and who sometimes feel unseen or even unwelcome in our congregations. And this pains me deeply. It is naive to think that peace can be maintained without those willing to stand in defense of it these days. Too often, in our eagerness to protest war, we forget to honor those who serve with integrity and compassion. Soldiers hate war, just as firefighters hate fire. They know the cost. Their service, like that of healers and teachers, springs from love and the desire to protect, to preserve, to serve, to save. So let us remember and honor Canada's service members with gratitude and humility. Whether in uniform or not, we are called to lead from love, to lift up those in need and to give voice to the voiceless, to protect the vulnerable and to stand against the misuse of power. Our Unitarian Universalist chaplains, like Reverend Captain Nicole Mackay, continue that work today, serving in the Canadian Forces and accompanying soldiers and families through trauma and loss and moral injury, embodying compassion where it is most needed. They remind us that love and courage must walk hand in hand. My friends, this chalice that we light each week is the descendant of that same wartime flame. A flame that once guided refugees through darkness, that comforted the grieving, that declared to the world that hope is stronger than hate. To say, lest we forget, is not only to remember the fallen, it is to remember the call to live so that no one is forgotten, no one is abandoned, and no one is left behind. It is to become good ancestors ourselves, that those who come after us might remember us not for our silence, but for our courage. May we never forget. Amen. Blessed be.
In your teal hymnals, number 1032. And this was a collaboration between a Muslim and a Jewish composer in the United States after the attacks on 9/11. The translation, which I wanted to lift up before we sing it, is, "Let us live in peace, let us live in inner peace. Let us weave our dreams together, let us die in peace." Please rise in body and spirit. We'll do this as a call and response, so I'll sing from the piano and then you can echo me back. Thank you. Dawn an eis, bis
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please rise again in body or in spirit to join in singing our closing hymn, Spirit of Life.
As we go from this place to find tea and cookies in the fellowship hour, may remembrance move us to compassion, and compassion move us to action. Go forth in love that the world may never forget the power of courage and the promise of hope. Go in peace.